started?
Go for it.
Right. You have to bear with us. We're still trying to work out a format for this. This is the I've just clapped and probably fucked the sound levels. Good start. Yeah, this is our as of yet unnamed review show. Today we want to look.
What's happening? What's happening?
Right. Okay. So, welcome to our as of unyet named as of yet unnamed review show. We can't even do that, so we can't come up with a title. Today we want to talk about big budget TV. There's a lot coming out. You've got Sky Atlantic at the moment that's bringing shows over like Boardwalk Empire
In Britain.
Over to here, yeah. And I mean stuff like big budgets. Like I think it was about 50 million that was spent on that. And it's basically really just to talk today about what we think about the future of TV. Things like online distribution is becoming a bigger thing. Do we think that we're going to start seeing more of these big budget shows or less of them, because the budgets kind of overall are starting to go down in certain fields, and there seems to be kind of fewer examples of this. However, there's some big shows that are kind of coming out. You've got the likes of the Boardwalk Empire that I already said, Game of Thrones, which was shot in Ireland. Not that we're better. But you know, come to Scotland, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You did Braveheart over there, it was some excuse about the midges. Bring them here. We've got Dark Knight, we've got some film with Scarlett Johansson in it. It's going to be entertaining. She's in it, let's be honest. And we've also, she is hot, you're right, Michael. And we've got, what was he? We've got Brad Pitt, Scarlett Johansson and Christian Bale. I mean, what more do you need?
In the one film.
Well, not in the one film, let's not false advertise, but I mean, you look like you're ready to talk, Michael. I've been talking.
No, I think there's been like a trend in like the last probably 10 years where Hollywood has had such a dearth of quality that now it's happened, let's say in the past decade. I think it happened with shows like 24 and Lost, and they were coming out. There's a level of quality that has superseded what's happening in cinema in a lot of ways, at least in terms of the commercial side of things. Your sort of big budget Hollywood films have not been to the same standard that these television shows have been, you know. So I think that, that's something that I found really interesting, because up until probably when 24 came out, I didn't really like watch that much television. I tend to wait for like the box sets, you know, and like just tear through them in one day. Is that sad?
No, it's not. It's a waste of money. But basically, I think what's quite interesting as well is TV shows have really kind of in more recent years started to really experiment with things. I mean, you've got stuff like House not long ago that filmed part of an episode on the 5D Mark II, because it let them get really small. It let them, I think it was the episode where it was a building collapse or something. I can't quite remember the whole situation around it, but they let them get like really intimate, right in Hugh Laurie's face, and apparently they really like.
Where else would you want to be?
Where else would you
right
want to
in
be?
Hugh Laurie's face?
I think
in his pants.
I think it's lovely the number of people who now think he's American.
Oh,
and it's just like we've got so many good American actors like Hugh Laurie.
Oh.
Yeah. But let's narrow it down. Let's start with Boardwalk Empire. I've seen it. You've seen it.
I haven't watched it.
Al hasn't watched it.
I'm
Immediately when
Michael.
I think like
I have watched it.
I mean Boardwalk Empire. I'm on episode 9 at the moment. I never really kept up with it while it was on. I've just started rewatching it, but a lot of big faces in it, and so as of yet, really good production values that have come in. My only issue with it is a lot of the time they've cheaped out and done some really ropey CGI in certain segments for backgrounds and stuff like that.
I wasn't really aware of it.
Maybe I'm being a bit pedantic, which is quite possible.
I find you shallow and pedantic.
But yeah, there's definitely points where I kind of saw the CGI and it threw me off a little bit, but it was in bits where they tried to go too far. Like there was a bit where Steve Buscemi, and I can't remember the name of the other actor. The guy, he's like the American Tim Curry. I can't remember what the name of the guy. He always plays bad guys. And they were talking to each other. They were in like a voters hall, and they were doing some tight close-ups and stuff again. Obviously against blue screen, it was like that looked okay. Then they did this massive wide shot, and you were just kind of like, yeah, that's clearly CGI. But it only lasted for a few seconds. But at the same time, it's like it wasn't necessary, but you could tell they were just trying to give this idea of big scale, like we're a TV show, but look what we're doing.
What do you think of Boardwalk Empire?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I mean, I thought it is the kind of narrative that I think you would struggle to get into a single feature film. I mean, I don't know, maybe we're seeing a bit of kind of convergence with kind of like all the big productions in Hollywood these days are sort of tending towards being trilogies rather than standalone films. But yeah, I mean, I think Boardwalk Empire is that kind of classic sort of multi-stranded narrative that is kind of just not the sort of thing that would transfer well to the big screen. But at the same time, it does kind of look a bit small scale. I mean, I don't know whether it is just that they're using the kind of the sort of CGI trickery to do the backgrounds or what, but there is something kind of inherently kind of uncinematic about the way it's shot, which is strange because I mean they had Scorsese in to do like the first episode, as I recall.
Yeah, it was quite weird. The other thing to jump on is Game of Thrones, which
haven't seen it again. Next time we'll discuss stuff I've watched.
Anthology horrors.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, Game of Thrones, really big production values again. You've got Sean Bean, who, can I just say, awesome story in the paper not long ago. Not awesome for him, the fact that he was attacked outside a nightclub, stabbed in the arm with a glass bottle, and instead of going to the hospital, went back into the bar for another drink with his 22-year-old girlfriend.
Oh,
Cash back,
God
Sean.
bless him. We're not male chauvinists.
Yeah, no.
Alan is.
What an absolute legend. But to get onto the actual TV show, they had kind of issues from that I saw, that they didn't have quite the funding that they wanted to do some of the big fight scenes, but they got renewed for a second series after the first episode, and apparently the next one's going to have some big stuff.
Is Boardwalk Empire like adapted from anything? Because I know that Game of Thrones.
I think it's based on the book.
Game of Thrones is from the series.
No, I know Game of Thrones is.
Yeah, Boardwalk Empire is as well.
I think it's interesting though when you're talking about like bigger sort of television series with bigger budgets, and then you were saying about with digital distribution, you might start getting sort of shows again with like lesser budgets. I think it's interesting that you had this trend with things like 24, Lost, and Battlestar Galactica, where you had like the sort of webisodes like in between seasons where they were trying to sort of like fill in gaps and give the audience something more, but they were obviously like the Lost ones were obviously like the first few I think were filmed obviously by like the main crew and all that. And then there was one where it's like Jack's dad standing, on a beach, and it looked like it was filmed on somebody's phone, so. But it's interesting that's a sort of middle ground.
It wasn't intended for mobile phones, because I seem to remember there was something like that with 24. Did they not do like minute-long episodes for mobile phones, which I think was quite an early example.
I don't think the Lost ones were. I think they were just sort of. I think it was like 14 episodes. I know the ones that were done for Battlestar Galactica. I don't think they were either. But there was, at least with the Battlestar Galactica ones, there were some really interesting little bits and bobs. They actually showed you like Odama when he was younger in the first Cylon War and all that, which was quite interesting.
Do you think it's partly something that's kind of piggybacking on the success of Hollywood films in the first place? Because you got something like Game of Thrones, which is kind of like, let's make Lord of the Rings but for telly.
Yeah.
And it's the same with that. I mean, to my mind, the kind of first example in recent years of the big budget TV series has got to be Band of Brothers, which is basically Saving Private Ryan on TV. Yeah. And even since then, we've now recently had The Pacific, which is kind of like more Saving Private Ryan.
Which was good, but wasn't the same level as Band of Brothers.
Did they not do a similar thing before that, where like when Tom Hanks?
That's Castaway, the Earth to the Moon.
Did Apollo? That's what?
Castaway is a very different.
No.
It's a different film. It's a different shark.
Apollo 13.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think which number it was, and
they did the Earth to the Moon. Yeah. No, that might actually be the first.
I just
one.
thought that. I just thought I'd mention that.
One thing is, I'm pretty convinced that across the board budgets won't increase. For certain things there will be big budgets, but I think quality will increase because now you've got like access to so much good, so many kind of great digital cameras for such low prices relatively now. You can get a really, really good.
You can tell Callum works in a place where he sells cameras for low prices.
Not the cameras I'd like to sell, but I'm working on it. Yeah, but like I mean, you can get like a Red now and rent it for kind of a reasonable price for a studio, and you're getting like motion picture quality, or even like a 5D. There's stuff people doing on 5D which isn't as good as the Red, but it's good enough to do a few episodes, and you're getting this really good look, and you can push the show a bit further because you're spending less money on the stuff. But I think the quality, because of like CGI is getting cheaper and the camera equipment's getting cheaper, will increase, but probably not budgets across. Particularly when just online distribution kicks in a bit more, I think that budgets really, really will go down a bit.
I was talking and then you were going like that.
Right, so you make it a transition.
I can't remember what I was talking about. Can I remember what I was talking about?
We went through Galactica and the kind of web. It's such a shame. Was that on camera?
Laugh at the Joker.
Just fucking blew it up. Oh fucking hell.
Are the cameras rolling?
You're an idiot.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, excellent.
Cheers.
Cheers, you too.
What's quite funny is that when you poured that, the booze came out in your sleeve at the same time.
Great.
Do you know what I actually thought for a second that that your arms were like darker colours? I actually thought they were just wet.
Right, okay, so
Interlude.
Interlude.
We're back. Alan.
Yeah, so do you think that you would go and see one of these series in the cinema? Because I mean, in the States they've released the Red Riding trilogy. I believe got a limited release in theaters, and I think they were talking about.
Brilliant.
I really enjoyed
Is
it.
that a mini series though?
Yeah, well, there's 3 parts, but they released each one as as a theatrical release because they were feature length. So
do you know who else was in Red Riding?
Sean Bean.
What was interesting about it, like from an artistic point of view, was it was 16mm for the first episode, 35mm for the second, and they shot a red for the third. So they were kind of experimenting with different thing. But I mean, what do you think of it as a show? Because I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's a very dark series of films in a way, but it's I think it's well worth watching.
My favourite thing is we managed to pick all these shows that Michael hasn't seen any of them.
It's a good topic though. It's a good topic. It's just that when Lost finished, a bit of me died inside.
I think, to be honest, when Lost finished its second series, a bit of me died inside.
I bet you died when you were trying to watch the third series.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I don't know.
Missed out, man. You missed out.
I don't know. I saw the statue with the toes, and it's like, yeah. So I'm guessing next series Hurley's going to water ski over a shark.
He did.
Did he?
Yeah,
That would not surprise
backwards.
me. Yeah.
I think
unhindered by his fat.
Yeah, I think though that I would I watch a television series or some film TV series in the cinema. I think that, like, for example, like with 24, they really missed the boat. Like, I remember they were talking about a film around about season 4.
Yeah.
And if they'd done one then, I would have been like, absolutely, I would have went to the cinema. So now it's like kind of like old hat, so I think they've got to get the timing of it right, or release something years later for like nostalgia purposes. Because if you look at, like, for example, Sex and the City.
Try not to.
Yeah, my girlfriend's made me watch both, right? And
the film.
Tolerated the first one. Second one was unbelievably bad.
Was the second one not just like a sort of 2000s equivalent of Holiday on the Buses, effectively?
Yeah, kind of in Dubai.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, it was really pretty terrible. But I think people have talked about certain television series, what could you do with it? I'll tell you one television series that I could always have watched as a film, right? Before it's all of the bad publicity with it. See if you took 2.5 Men, right? Ditched the laughter track and then made it a road trip kind of film with like the three of them. Yeah. Like, I could have watched something like that for 15 minutes.
Actually work.
And turned it over.
What if what's her name had been involved? What was the porn star called that Charlie Sheen was with?
Does it matter?
It does, because I want to transition into an online show called, it's like Helpful Bus or something like that. You need to watch it. It's basically like based on like the Bang Bus by Bang Bros, and it's basically it's basically these guys like in the porn version of it, it's these guys that go around a bus basically meant to be picking up chicks, and then they just bang them on the bus. On the Helpful Bus, all these chicks are getting picked up thinking they're going to get banged, and the guys just drive them to their location and just like share juice with them. So they're just really nice.
The Helpful Bus.
Yeah, the Helpful Bus.
This is really went off track.
Yeah,
this is like work safe porn basically.
It's awesome because
no such thing.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Just all these films about people like actually getting their fridges fixed. And,
yeah, that's right.
I can't.
Your toilet works fine.
And not paying by sex. That's right. Oh, I've not got any money. Why did you call a plumber then? I mean, not every one of them is gonna, take that as a payment.
We've really went off.
We have
a little bit. Yeah.
You pull it back. It's your topic.
I'm still trying to put myself back together after fucking exploding that. It's all over me. I'm reading The Digger here. It's a fine publication.
Jesus Christ.
No. And it's talking about big budget TV. There's a picture of Captain Jack.
Oh yeah, that's a
Hardness. Captain Jack Harness, I think.
I would not be surprised if that was actually
from what?
Torchwood.
That's alright.
The Doctor Who spin-off.
That's an interesting one, because I mean, would you say that's kind of like the closest thing to that we get in this country? Like Torchwood is kind of the closest thing I can think of that we in the UK make as the equivalent of the American big budgets.
They're writing here about the fact that they've piked it out to America now, because the budget's got that big that they're having to do it in America, and this current episode is now set in Washington DC. So, I mean,
I think I've seen that as a kind of a trend with some of the other UK, sort of more prestigious TV series are made, partly funded by American companies now anyway. I mean, you see it with stuff like, even just stuff like Lewis, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's got an American credit at the end of it.
What about shows like Sherlock? I mean, that's kind of like...
I never actually caught that.
I wasn't a huge fan of it. I know Michael likes it, but
I'm a big Sherlock fan.
Can I just say Jeremy Brett for life?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
What did you say, sorry?
Jeremy Brett for life.
Yeah, he has the almighty Sherlock Holmes. But I think what they did a really good job of like updating it. Because I was very skeptical of it.
Criticisms, right? Can we do spoilers?
How much time do we have left?
4 minutes 41. Criticisms of it? Can I make some criticisms? Spoiler alert if you're planning on watching it. Don't know what the fuck they were doing with Moriarty.
Yeah, that's the one thing that balls up.
They really fucked that up. They made him like a kind of mincing Irishman who just kind of comes in. Hello, Sherlock. What are you doing? I've come in to fuck up your plans. Basically like that. On top of that, Martin Freeman. Was it Martin Freeman?
Yeah.
Is meant to be playing like this war veteran.
I thought he was great.
Never really get the feeling that he's this man that actually seen all this and actually was taking names. Like if Martin Freeman came up to me and went, "I'm trained in various forms of martial art. I could take you down without ease."
He's a doctor.
No, but he was still combat trained. He was still in a combat situation. He's meant to be a really hard case. Like Dr. Watson was meant to be a hard case. That's why they cast Jude Law and the guy Richardson, because he needed a hard case to play him. But yeah, I didn't like that. They did an interesting line with Benedict Cumberbatch, not just because of his name, but making a gay Sherlock Holmes was quite an interesting move. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was an interesting way to take it. Or he's meant to be kind of ambiguous sexually, but you can kind of really tell.
I don't think there was really. I didn't see anything inferred in the series that he was gay.
No, but he did actually mention like he liked guys and stuff like that on a couple of occasions. He didn't just go, "I like men," but he did say that he was like into guys.
It's been that long since I've watched it. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that there's been quite a lot of incarnations of Holmes where they've questioned his sexuality, but there is a short story where there is a woman involved. So.
Keep the home, drop the ease. I don't know. But
I know that was like one of the housekeepers. Let's wind up. Let's wind up.
Do you want to close us up?
Like a surgeon. Sorry. So yeah.
For the very first time, like a surgeon.
This is what I have to. This is my life. This is my life. This is what I have to put up with all the time. Okay, so in terms of like TV series and films, my conclusion is that I think that television has basically flown the flag for the sort of film industry, so to speak. It's like totally outdone Hollywood in the last 10 years with regards to like commercial projects, and I don't really see that changing because I think that the amount of, maybe through the advertising revenue that they get, but I think also just the number of people that are really talented within the sort of television industry now, I think that there's an approach to it now that takes it on a whole scope and scale that wasn't there before, and I think for that reason, I think, but I should say, by the way, essentially American television, which is what I'm talking about. I mean, there are some great British TV programs, but really it's like American television over the last 10 years has just been incredible. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I think we're still not kind of progressed beyond certainly having a visible link with Hollywood, and that most of these series do have like a big name to kind of drive them, if you like. Most of them have got like a big sort of Hollywood star in the cast, usually to play like a kind of main role of the series, and which I think is possibly why so much of this is American derived. I mean, we've the closest thing we've got in the UK kind of is Torchwood, which has amusingly enough an American as the star in that.
He's
Scottish. Is he? I thought
he was born in Glasgow, but it was
he grew up. He spent his entire life in Scotland.
I don't know.
He only has the American accent because he basically developed the American accent for his career, and he's just got so used to doing it that he does it all the time. But then when he goes home,
I've seen him drop into his Glasgow accent before, and it is kind of fairly.
Well, he spent his basically right up to his adult life, I think, in Scotland.
That's completely demolished my argument that something like Sherlock doesn't work on the same level because it's headed up like by people like Martin Freeman that we kind of more familiar with for stuff like The Office. Kind of
people are about to be a whole lot familiar with them.
His film career's going to go way up from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Never watched it.
I like Sam Rockwell in it, but to be fair, Sam Rockwell's good in everything. You ever seen that boy dance? That boy dances.
Yes.
Should we wrap this shit up?
Yeah, you look tired.
I'm not. Yeah.
So wait, this is the as of yet unnamed review show that we're doing, and if you can think of a name for what we should call this absolute fucking wreck of a show, then please do let us know, and any topics or anything like that you think.
If you could send it in on a postmarked envelope to the Blue Peter Appeal, P.O. Box 452. I can't remember the actual
the Americans won't get that.
Oh, probably not. Okay.
And check out the forums below. I don't know why am I doing this as if I'm talking about it. Check out the forums below, and just let us know if you have any suggestions for like future topics and stuff like that. And we're going to be far more organised. Might even have title cards and everything next time if Alan can be bored drawing them.
We're also going to have a prize draw. Whoever comes up with the best title for the show wins this copy of The Digger.
Yes!
right here. One of the main
Should
headlines
probably
in the
describe
back
what
here.
Digger is.
Yeah, we should describe what the Digger is. Digger is basically the news of the world, but it's the news of the world with no holds barred. It really does do some amazing. One of the brilliant ones at the back here is talking about how pensioners have turned to crime because their pension isn't good enough. So I mean, you've got some great stuff in this, and this is going to be getting sent out to whoever gives us the best title for the show
via email.
Bye.
Can you pass me my glass actually? I want another drink.